Hi all, I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how to fuse shut a 22 karat bezel. Now, another thing is, after you have spent a really long time getting your bezel to fit just right, most people scream when I'm like, okay, here's your seam, squish. You have to squish it to fuse it because you need this to be, in other words, leaving this just like this. If I were to try to fuse this just like this, I mean, we could probably get away with it. There's always, things that one can push. But this being in a slightly more compact form makes it much easier to control the heat. So when you're fusing, you gotta get like the whole thing hot, and then we're gonna be working the seam, kind of a thing. So on the other hand, that doesn't mean I have to take your point, because by the way, sorry, I should have started with this. Yeah. Look at that lovely pear-shaped stone. Look how lovely that is. A little moonstone, it's got a little blue glow in it, all gorgeous. So it takes a lot of effort to get the point right. So do I want to squish the point? No, I'm going to leave the point on the side and leave it alone and just kind of squeeze the side down a little bit where the seam is. So I'm going to grab it like so, and then I'm just going to go. You don't have to make the dumb sound effect if you don't want, but for me, I find it very helpful. And then of course I usually have to butt it back together because a lot of times you do that, and even though you're holding both sides, it moves around a little bit. Okay, and you know how always when you're trying to get a seam together, you go past the seam once or twice.
Yeah, but this,
What's that, Beth?
this is to support the inner bezel knee.
It's terrible when you torment people and they don't even notice. You know what I mean? It's just unfair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a lid to cast a shadow, and we're going to pause and ring that doorbell. So for example, I have squished this, and you can see I haven't squished them utterly together, but it's down in a more compact form, which is going to make it a lot easier to get it hot and control the heat and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to use a 0 tip. I'm going to take out the impaler so I don't, leave one of my organs behind. And we'll use a 0 tip. All right. Okay, so nice 0 tip, nice and pointy. Okay. You can also just turn off the overhead lights. It's very hard in a shared studio to get it that dark. You know what I'm saying? But if you're home, you can just turn off. You don't have to worry about. A lot of times here, what I do is I use like a little kiln lid, you know what I mean, to cast a shadow. Because basically, if it's bright, it's much harder to judge the color and to see the fusing happen. Okay? So, elbow up in the air, flame straight up and down. Tight circles around my cute little bezel. Although it's not so little, really. Juicy, bounteous bezel. Because you see how it starts to get hot, and then the seam will start to be more and more distinct. When I get this really hot and I'm ready to fuse, that seam is going to be brighter than everything else. You see that? That bright seam. So then I'm going to take my flame, the feather tip, which is the end, and you see how you just give it a little tickle? Ooh, and it got dark and flowed. And I'm going to do it again a couple times. Because here's the thing, what I find is for a bezel seam, if I just get it hot and I see it flow once and I stop, a lot of times later on, it's not actually done like all the way through. So I usually go a couple times, get it hot and just flow that seam. I mean, I do it in like, a few seconds. It's not like, it takes long. But you see what I'm saying? Like, get it hot. See what I mean? You just see that little flow, okay? And in gold, this is 22 karat gold. The seam never completely disappears. I mean, you see it fill in and all that kind of thing, and then I'll move out of the way so you can do a little close up. Like in fine silver, when you fuse a seam, it should disappear pretty much completely. This is like, you can see it's filled in, but it doesn't disappear. So I'm gonna get out of the way and let Alexis do a little close up. And we'll throw it in the pickle, and we'll reshape, which is not gonna be hard, I promise.